What if I told you that a single death could change the fate of an entire kingdom? In the world of Game of Thrones, death is not just an end. It's a catalyst for change, a spark that ignites wars, and a force that reshapes the very fabric of power. Are you ready to relive the drama and uncover the true power of mortality in the Game of Thrones? Our journey begins with Ned Stark, the Honorable Warden of the North. His death set the tone for the entire series, showing us that in the world of Game of Thrones, no one is safe. Ned's sense of duty and justice was his driving force, but it was also his downfall. When he discovered the truth about Cersei's children, he confronted her, severely underestimating the ruthlessness of his enemies and the dangerous game he was playing in King's Landing. Caught in a web of political intrigue, Ned was arrested for treason and executed on the steps of the Great Sept of Baelor. This shocking moment shattered the Stark family and ignited the War of the Five Kings. Ned's death sent shockwaves through Westeros, heralding an era where traditional rules and honor held little sway. It was a harsh lesson for his children, each affected in their own way. Arya, who witnessed her father's execution, was set on a path of revenge. Sansa learned the cruel realities of court politics, while Robb took up arms to avenge his father. While Ned's death was a shock, the death that truly set everything in motion was that of King Robert Baratheon. His demise, orchestrated by his wife Cersei Lannister and disguised as a hunting accident, created an immediate power vacuum, exposing the fragile nature of Robert's legacy and setting off a chain reaction that would lead to the War of the Five Kings. The revelation that Robert's supposed children were actually fathered by Jaime Lannister further deepened the political crisis. This secret, discovered by Ned Stark, directly led to Ned's arrest and execution, making Robert's death the catalyst for numerous pivotal events to follow. Robert's passing marked the end of a relatively stable period in Westeros. His reign, though not perfect, had maintained a semblance of peace across the Seven Kingdoms. With his death, long-simmering tensions and ambitions burst to the surface. Stannis and Renly Baratheon both laid claim to the throne, fracturing the realm's loyalty. Meanwhile, in the north, Robb Stark's rebellion gained momentum, fueled by the desire to avenge Ned and secure northern independence.
King Robert Baratheon, murdered by a pig. Give me something for the pain, and let me die.
Across the Narrow Sea, Khal Drogo's demise was a turning point for Daenerys Targaryen, transforming her from a timid girl into the mother of dragons. His death, following a seemingly minor wound, set off a chain of events that would change Daenerys forever. Desperate to save her husband, Daenerys turned to blood magic, inadvertently causing Drogo to fall into a catatonic state. Faced with the prospect of her once mighty husband living a life devoid of dignity, Daenerys made the heart-wrenching decision to end his life herself. This profound loss thrust Daenerys into a position of vulnerability, but it also sparked her transformation into a determined and independent leader. It was from Drogo's funeral pyre that Daenerys' dragons were born, symbolizing the rebirth of House Targaryen and setting Daenerys on her path to become a formidable contender for the Iron Throne. Drogo's death marked a crucial turning point in Daenerys' arc. It forced her to stand on her own, making difficult decisions and learning to wield power. The loss of Drogo and the miraculous birth of the dragons became the foundation of Daenerys' identity as a leader and conqueror. The Red Wedding stands as one of the most brutal and shocking events in the entire series, claiming the lives of several key characters, including Robb Stark, his mother Catelyn, and many of their bannermen. In a calculated move of vengeance and political maneuvering, Lord Walder Frey conspired with Tywin Lannister and Roose Bolton to ambush the Starks during what was supposed to be a wedding celebration. The massacre that ensued was a stark reminder of the brutal unpredictability of the series, illustrating the consequences of political miscalculation and the merciless nature of power struggles in Westeros. Robb's death signified the tragic end of the Stark rebellion, decimating the northern forces and extinguishing the hope of Stark restoration in the Seven Kingdoms. The aftermath left the North in chaos and under the oppressive rule of the Boltons.
The Lannisters send their regards.
Catelyn Stark's death at the Red Wedding was equally impactful. Her final moments, filled with desperation and grief as she witnessed her son's death, highlighted the profound tragedy of the event. The Red Wedding's repercussions were far-reaching, cementing Lannister domination and deepening the resolve of the surviving Stark children. It set a new tone of ruthlessness and treachery in the ongoing fight for the Iron Throne, forever changing the landscape of power in Westeros. Just when it seemed the Lannisters were unstoppable, the tide turned with the death of King Joffrey Baratheon. Known as the Purple Wedding, Joffrey's poisoning during his marriage celebration to Margaery Tyrell was a moment of poetic justice for many viewers. Joffrey's rule had been characterized by cruelty, impulsiveness, and a thirst for power, making him one of the most despised characters in the series. His sudden and gruesome demise during the wedding feast created immediate chaos and suspicion throughout King's Landing. While initial suspicion fell upon Tyrion Lannister, leading to his arrest and trial, the true orchestrators were Olenna Tyrell and Petyr Baelish. Their plot aimed to free Margaery from a dangerous marriage and shift the balance of power in Westeros. Joffrey's death marked a significant change in the power dynamics of the Seven Kingdoms. It removed one of the most volatile players from the game, setting the stage for further instability with Tommen's ascension to the throne. The event also deepened the rift within the Lannister family, fueling Cersei's vengeful quest for retribution and setting in motion a series of events that would eventually lead to her own downfall.
Idiots, help your king!
Move away! Joffrey!
The death of Tywin Lannister, the formidable patriarch of House Lannister, was a pivotal moment that profoundly affected the power dynamics, not just within his family, but across the entire Seven Kingdoms. Tywin's demise came at the hands of his own son, Tyrion, in a confrontation that was both shocking and symbolically significant. Tyrion's act of patricide stemmed from a lifetime of scorn and maltreatment, culminating in his wrongful accusation and near execution for Joffrey's murder. The moment of Tywin's death, shot with a crossbow while sitting on the privy, was a humiliating end for a man who had always prioritized the reputation and legacy of his house. It underscored the deep dysfunction within the Lannister family and signified the end of Tywin's control over their fortunes and the capital itself. With Tywin gone, the Lannisters' political power weakened significantly. The leadership void in King's Landing led to increased instability, with Cersei making increasingly erratic and desperate decisions in her attempts to maintain control. Tywin's death also set Tyrion on a new path, fleeing Westeros and eventually aligning with Daenerys Targaryen, a move that would have significant consequences for the future of the Seven Kingdoms.
Enough. We'll go back to my chambers and speak with some dignity.
I can't go back there. She's in there.
Are you afraid of a dead whore?
While many deaths in Game of Thrones were final, Jon Snow's assassination marked not an end, but a transformation. As Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, Jon had made progressive but controversial decisions, including allying with the wildlings to strengthen defenses against the threat of the White Walkers.
For the watch. For the watch.
These choices led to a mutiny, with Jon being stabbed multiple times by his own brothers, in a scene that left audiences shocked and questioning the fate of one of the series' central characters. However, Jon's story didn't end there. His resurrection by the Red Priestess Melisandre significantly reshaped his trajectory. Brought back to life, Jon emerged with a renewed sense of purpose and liberation from his Night's Watch vows, allowing him to redefine his identity and leadership. This event marked the beginning of Jon's journey beyond the Wall's confines, leading to his reclamation of Winterfell and establishment as king in the north. Jon's death and resurrection underscored themes of sacrifice, transformation, and destiny, positioning him as a vital player in the ultimate battle against the Night King and his army. In a series filled with shocking deaths, Hodor's sacrifice stands out for its emotional impact and the revelations it brought. The circumstances of Hodor's death were tied to a mind-bending time loop that finally explained the origin of his name and condition. As Bran delved into a vision of the past while under attack from White Walkers, he inadvertently created a mental link between Hodor in the present and his younger self in the past. This connection caused young Hodor, originally named Wireless, to experience the traumatic moment of his future self, holding a door against an onslaught of whites, reducing his speech to the single word Hodor, and foreshadowing his eventual sacrifice. In the present, Hodor fulfilled his destiny, bravely holding the door to allow Bran and Meera to escape, sacrificing himself in the process. This moment not only highlighted the cruel inevitability of his fate, but also underscored the depth of loyalty and sacrifice within the series. As we near the end of our journey, we come to perhaps the most controversial and divisive death, Daenerys Targaryen. Her journey from a timid exile to the mother of dragons and breaker of chains was one of the central arcs of the entire series. However, her conquest of King's Landing marked a turning point. In a shocking and devastating turn, Daenerys chose to destroy much of the city with dragon fire, resulting in massive civilian casualties. This act revealed a dangerous zeal that echoed her father's infamous madness. In the aftermath, Jon Snow faced an impossible choice between love and duty. Recognizing that Daenerys' vision of liberation might lead to further oppression, Jon made the heart-wrenching decision to kill Daenerys, believing it was the only way to prevent future bloodshed. Daenerys' death catalyzed the dissolution of the Targaryen lineage and prompted crucial political restructuring, leading to the selection of a king by council and aiming to establish a fairer system of governance in Westeros. Our final stop brings us to Petyr Baelish, also known as Littlefinger. His demise marked the dramatic closure of one of the series' most cunning and manipulative characters. Littlefinger's schemes, including igniting conflict between the Starks and Lannisters, significantly shaped the narrative's chaos. However, his web of deceit finally unraveled in Winterfell. Having underestimated the bond between Sansa Stark and her siblings, he attempted to drive a wedge between them, only to find himself outmaneuvered. In a swift turn of events, Sansa accused Littlefinger of murder and treason. Confronted with his treacherous acts, the perennial puppet master found himself stripped of his defenses. Littlefinger's death at Arya's hands symbolized the end of the manipulation that had threatened to unravel the Stark family, reinforcing the theme that loyalty and family bonds can overpower individual cunning and ambition.
Thank you for all your many lessons, Lord Baelish. I will never forget them.
The death of Littlefinger represented the closing of a chapter in Westeros' history, one defined by shadowy schemes and political maneuvering. It signaled a shift towards more open governance and highlighted the strength of the Stark family's unity in the face of adversity. As we conclude our journey through the most shocking and impactful deaths in Game of Thrones, we're left to ponder. Which of these deaths do you think had the greatest impact on the story? How did they shape your understanding of the world of Westeros and its characters? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. These deaths weren't just shocking moments designed for dramatic effect. They were pivotal points that drove the narrative forward, reshaped alliances, and forced characters to evolve and adapt. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Game of Thrones, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analyses of your favorite shows and characters.